so far away, lost in the shadows. But it's okay if you don't know where this road goes. I'll keep you safe, nothing will change. I'll always love you the same. I'll lead the way, just take my hand. Oh, don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's where you shine. You're perfect the way that you are, and know that you are my light. Give you my love, we'll do it right. Everything's possible with you and I. Don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's when you shine. When you shine. Baby, that's when you shine. When I can't see, you'll be my lighthouse. When I can't breathe, I'll hold you closer to me. Together we are two burning stars. Nothing can tear us apart. We'll always be, just take my hand. Oh, don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's where you shine. You're perfect the way that you are, and know that you are my light. Give you my love, we'll do it right. Everything's possible with you and I. Don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's when you shine. Far away, lost in the shadows. I'll lead the way, just take my hand. Don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's where you shine. You're perfect the way that you are, and know that you are my light. Give you my love, we'll do it right. Everything's possible with you and I. Don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause baby, that's when you shine. When you shine. Baby, that's when you shine. Baby, that's when you shine. Baby, that's when you shine.
You're watching The Kate Fox Show. I'm Kate Fox, and I am here today at Q Recording Studio, and I am speaking with Jim Ebert, founder of Cancer Can Rock, and Rich Forsen, president of Cancer Can Rock. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about what this charity does. For those of you who follow me, you know that I am in the process of promoting the third Cancer Can Rock in New York show, which we are doing to promote visibility in other areas. This is a Virginia-based charity. However, it serves musicians from everywhere, correct?
That's right.
And Jim, you founded this charity for a very specific reason.
Yeah, I have survived brain cancer for 19 years.
19 years.
19 years. I was given a year to live 19 years ago. They were wrong. So anyway, I did that, and then probably 7 years in, 8 years in, thinking I'm going to survive, think I'm getting past all this, I said, I've got to do something else for my people, lack of better words. I'm a music producer. This was something I could do. At the end of the day, I could just say, I can do this on my own, and now it's gotten to the point where I certainly can't, but I can take people in and do this one particular thing. And that was my idea, and I've been very fortunate that Rich and other people have come on board to make it all happen, because we've grown. We were up to almost 30 30 artists almost.
27 right now, I think.
Yeah, you said 27 when we spoke the other day.
Anyway, so I did that. It's probably the most rewarding thing that I've done career-wise. I hate to say it like that. That sounds wrong.
Well, it's a personal thing.
Right.
I mean, you've done great things. You've worked with tons of artists, but this is something that it's part of you because of what you've been through.
Well,
correct?
yes, and when I sit here or over there, and I have someone sit right next to me and say, "This has been the greatest day of my life."
And that's happened more than once.
It just happened 3 times now, and that just knocks you down. That you put this thing together as an idea. All these people have come together to make it happen, and then someone says something like that to you. You just sort of go, "Yeah, this is what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be helping people."
Yes, and
Yeah.
you do. And
Yeah.
you're handing these people this gift because you have been fortunate.
Yes.
So why wouldn't it be the most rewarding? Because it's, you know what, I hate putting words in people's mouth, and the way I perceive it though, you're doing what you love every day.
Right.
And you're doing it with different levels of musicians and but you've done a lot of work, but how much of that can you take home at night and say, I think you understand what I'm saying, I really made a difference in this person's life.
Yes. Yes. I can do that, and just to have it verbatim, like was said to you like that, it hits you in a way. You know what I mean? I've had moments where certain kind things have been said to me. One of our early artists, a friend of Rich's, actually, Thierry, said something to me on stage. And I can't remember what it was, and I think I nearly broke down crying. So there are just these moments. Rich is here all the time when I'm doing this, so I get into it, and I almost forget that people are sick, right? Because we're just working, having fun, and then I have to kind of take a breath and get back. That person's been singing for 2 hours. They probably need a break. It's a little different management system than when I'm normally working with somebody and dragging them through it.
Plus, you also know better than anybody else, having been through some of that yourself, kind of how they might be feeling and what they might be going through, the effect that chemo has, those types of things as well.
Yeah.
So it gives you a unique ability to manage the session.
The example is, people will say to me, "Well, I'll be done with chemo on this day." And I'll say, "Well, what is that? The end of 3 weeks of chemo?" And they'll say, "Yeah, so I can come in on that end of that week." And I said, "No, because chemo is very cumulative.
Right.
So at the end of your 3-week period, that's where you're dead. That's where you're dead. So maybe at the end of the following week, we can get you in." You know what I mean? But to have that little bit of knowledge, because it is a long day in here. It's still a recording day. Yeah. And we do aim to get everything done, video, song, the whole deal. But it's a long day for the artist, right? So they're here 8 to 10 hours usually, maybe 7 to 10 hours.
Okay.
So I just have to be very cognizant of how they are, how they're feeling, if they want to sing now, if they want to take a break. So that aspect, it's a little different. You know what is really cool? I don't think out of our 27 people, we've had anything negative. Maybe almost one. At the end of the day, it still ended up positive, but it was a little tricky.
I think for the artists, you're aware 100%.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think it is true. I mean, the biggest complaint I think we've ever gotten is about the name sometimes, because they're like, "Cancer can't rock. Cancer stinks."
I get,
Okay.
I see that too.
But it starts a
yes.
conversation. And,
Yes.
I always say that, well, we couldn't say, well, people with cancer can still rock.com is a pretty long website.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's true, some people don't get it. And I too have had that where, if I'll promote it or I'll share something, or, when I create an event and someone says, "That's ridiculous, cancer doesn't rock." And so
Right.
then I explain how it does in fact,
Right.
and how the name does suit it. And then they say, "Oh,
I get it. I get it. But I mean, I think there's a point, hopefully we'll get to this plateau when and if we ever have a marketing budget, things like that, where people will actually know
Right.
what we are, because we're still micro. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've been around a while, but we're micro. So when people donate money, they have to understand, typically they have to like music, have to hate cancer and like music.
correct,
You know what I mean?
correct."
People that, just because I've been through this, people that I deal with that are sometimes more business-like, they don't get either, right? They don't get cancer because they've never had it or whatever, and they don't really know music. They know business, and those people usually are not our biggest donors, just because they don't really understand the weight of it.
I think it's, so there's a couple things. People generally have to have some connection to want to give, but there's also something that's very unique about our organization, and some of this can come out of conversations about the name. That's why I've just loved, when you get in the conversation, then we're good, because we're able to explain to people, we're not trying to cure anything. We don't have these, we are trying to make one person's day, one person's life better in a really tough time. And we do it twofold. We give them that queen or king for a day experience that you're talking about, but there's also a product that comes at the end of this that is permanent. And unfortunately, we've lost a few people as well. And one of the things that Jim mentions to me constantly is, when people have come up to him and the song is played at their service, their memorial, and all the thanks and all the conversations about it, what difference that made. I think when we tell people those stories, and they're obviously all true stories, is that that speaks to people, because they know that any contributions they make, anything they participate in, is actually going to help a real live human being.
Right.
Yes, and now what's the farthest you've brought someone in from?
Well, we've been to LA.
Oh, that's right, you've been traveling too.
Oh, we went to LA 3 times now?
Yep.
Twice we've been in Nashville.
Twice at Henson, once at Village.
So LA, Nashville.
Yeah. Where else? Anywhere?
I think that's it for now. I think there's a couple of other options that may become available. We're as a group, we're going to Austin to try to make some connections there as well.
This year.
This year.
That's right, you have that coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
And now when you bring them in, is it only one day? Is it always, I mean, obviously you do stuff after.
Right.
But is it always just the one day where you okay.
If they need to, for whatever reason, we would do that. But I've got, even as a producer, I do a song a day. That's sort of my mantra. There's other guys that are like that. So we get into this mode of, okay, we're doing this song today. And that's in our head. That's non-cancer related artists, the same thing. We're doing one song. That's all we're doing.
And to be clear, we don't come in with a white sheet of paper, at this time. The song or some version of it's already been sent to Jim.
Yep.
And there's already been some discussion about it. So there is preparation in advance. The musicians that are chosen are chosen somewhat based upon the intent of the song.
A thing happened today, literally today, where I got a call from a friend who's a teacher, has a 15-year-old drummer who's dying. And this is what he wants to do. He wants to do a song in the studio. So we're gonna meet with him hopefully this week, write the song, me and a friend of mine who's a songwriter.
Okay.
And then bring him in, and it's gonna highlight drums. It's still gonna be a song, but it's gonna highlight his drumming, because that's what it's about. I don't know what my point was, but
it's
we were talking about the prep work that happens.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
that's prep work. That's prep work. So in this case, we are going to write the song. Most of the time, we don't do that. Most of the time, people are like, "I've got this song. It's about me fighting this or fighting that, or it's this, that," and then sometimes I'll say, "Do you have anything that might be related to the journey through this?" Sometimes they're like, "Oh yeah, well this one." I'll say, "Well, let's do that one." And then other times they'll say, "No, I don't really have anything like that." I'm like, "That's."
And that's an important point, because that also it helps to feed the interview process. We do 2 videos out of each production. One of them is a kind of a performance video.
Okay.
So it's their music video. They can share with all their friends and say, "Hey, check this out." The other is an interview, where Jim talks with them about their experience here, but largely their experience with music and with cancer. And his own experiences are allowed to inform that as well. And it's one of the things I've definitely seen is Jim making people more at ease during that conversation, because people are reticent to talk about, the musicians especially, because they're in front of people, are reticent to talk about the fact that they have this.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things for them to do is to tell people, because they'll get treated differently.
And
Yes.
I had this with one of our artists who's out and performing quite a bit. And you don't really want to know, lack of better word, that you're flawed. You don't want to let people know that something is going on. It's like a scarlet letter in the entertainment industry. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm not going to book you. You're sick. No, I can absolutely perform. No, you have cancer. You can't. So people are reticent about letting that kind of stuff out. And I talked with one artist, and she just said, it took me several years to just say, screw it, I'm letting it out. And it was the same with me.
Wow.
Same with me. It was probably 5 years, and then I'm like, screw it, I've got this. And if you want to hire, if you don't want to hire me because of that, then it's okay.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Wow. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
Good.
And we are having a conversation about the origins of Cancer Can Rock, things that you've done, and I know you wanted to speak about how you're growing and the people that have been a part of it.
Well, we've had fundraisers in San Diego and Los Angeles, and here, Loudon, Leesburg, out there, and New York, thanks to you. So we're trying to reach out to people that will run. Excuse me.
I think we had one in Chicago too, right?
Yes, one in Chicago. So satellite, I guess, I'll lack a better word.
Yeah.
Set up so that people can take on the task. People that are willing to give, such as yourself, time to develop it, because we can't be everywhere, right? At least for now. So we're trying to set it up. So we have a gentleman in Leesburg, where I live, who does 2 events a year for us. We have you. What do we have? 1 a year?
It's about one a year.
About 1 a year, and so we're going to keep trying to develop that sort of thing. We are going to Austin this year for the first time. I haven't been there in 20 years.
Wow.
So hopefully to meet a few people that will understand what we do. Out of the 28,000 people that will be there, I hope we can find one.
And also probably looking for some corporate sponsorships at a level that lets us have more of a national reach as well.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, this is like, it's almost like making a movie. The most, what's the hardest part about making a movie? Getting the money to make the movie is what, Scorsese or somebody said. It's the same with foundation. I mean, none of us are getting rich.
I've always
You
been
are.
rich,
You've always been rich. So we just, we're trying to grow it, build it, so we can sustain it. I mean, I will be in complete honesty. We do pay musicians to play on these. It's not really sustainable to not do that.
You would have to, though, because that's their job, right?
It is their job, and they're amazing, right? So, you can't substitute that. They're trust me. If I said, hey guys, you need to do the next 2 for nothing, they'd be here.
They'd be right there.
Right.
They absolutely would, because they really support what we're doing. And that's probably true of just about everybody involved. But like Jim said, it's not sustainable, and it's not the expectation we should set either with them or with the people who donate. They know that these things take time and money, but they also see the result. I mean, that's one of the nice things. Go to the YouTube channel.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We hope something. I haven't talked to you about this, but I want to, when we can afford it, start adding a radio promotion to each song, like a grand, to try to get each track some underground radio play, because you never know. We had one artist last year, Les, who was a friend with a promoter, and it did pretty well.
Yeah.
It did pretty well.
There's one in the process right now that I think would be.
Yeah, there's a few.
Popular
There's
song.
a few.
Yeah, if we can get it out there.
But anyway, we'll talk about that. But I want to get that sort of implemented into what we do. You get a little camp. I mean, think about that. If I was fighting cancer and I heard my song in CVS when I'm walking through there, I'd be like, I'm here. I've arrived.
That's a very good point, actually, because you give them the tangible result.
Yeah.
They have a tangible result. And I understand, I obviously deal with a lot of musicians as well. And I understand that it's their passion and it's their, it's their love, but yes, they've done this step, but then if you get that step, it's just, you're right, it's wow.
Well, I run into it as a producer all the time because, I'm not cheap, but
I know.
There's got to be a back end, right? It's like, if you're expecting to make this and people just gravitate to what you did, no. You've got to get it out. You've got to make people aware of it. They have to hear it. They have to like it, right? Not your friends, not your family, everyone.
Other people.
cold listens, go, wow, I like that. Who is that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think one of the things also, in terms of distribution or getting it out there, is finding people for whom our message and our mission is important. Because if you've got somebody who's in a position of where they can impact things and they have a personal story that relates to them about this, then you're going to get, they're going to go to work for you.
Yeah.
And I think so. Some of this is also just exposure to more people, because it's not, unfortunately, not hard to find people who've had experience with cancer in their lives or their family or those types of things. So some of it is, again, the reason we're going to Austin is just get the story in front of more people. They will eventually be the people that can make that difference, or next to the person who can make that difference.
Right.
I'm actually curious, if it's okay to ask you a question, what made you decide to do 3 Cancer Can Rock shows? I mean, what about our story made you get so involved?
Well, obviously, I'm a breast cancer survivor, so I understand that part of it, and I was just so lucky. There was never any doubt for me. I had, from the day of diagnosis, I knew I was going to be okay. So, but it did also lead me to start doing things with a little more, I'll say courage. I don't know if courage is the right word, but just less fear. Forget about courage, with less fear. And doing things that are important to me that I want to do.
Right.
Sitting here interviewing you guys, I don't know if I ever would have done it. I don't know if that would have been something that came to me if I hadn't had the diagnosis. So that's part of it. But also,
it wasn't my sexy legs.
Well, your sexy legs are, a big factor, but I didn't want to put it out to the public. And then
edit.
Then, I got to know you.
Right.
So that was a part of it as well. And then just being around musicians, in an industry where no matter what level musician you are, for the most part, this is what I see for the people I know, you need to have a day job or something to bring in funds. No, you might be a Grammy winner, you might be on this record and that record, you might be playing, touring for 6 months out of a year. You still need to bring in income.
Yeah, and even the best in the business work their ass off.
Yes, and so if you get sick and you're in this industry, what do you give up? And I guess that's sort of why I took it to heart, because there's so many cancer charities out there. And listen, I'm part of other charities that I hold very close to my heart, that I also work with. But this is one that is just so different from the rest of them for me. And I'll tell you, I this morning woke up to a message from someone, do you still have room on your bill? Someone that's played, their band had played, I want to say it was the last show. Do you have room on the bill? Another person that I reached out and said, hey, I'd like you to come to the show. We could bring in an audience. We want to be in your show. So, and that's really powerful to me, because I've gotten so many in the past week messages from people that I actually have probably 2 shows I can put together today. Forget about the one that's coming on March 15th at Revolution Bar Music Hall, Amityville, New York, 1 to 6 p.m. Forget about that one that's already set in stone. We're getting more press coverage up north.
Right.
We have a PSA running on 94.3 The Shark, which is one of the area's biggest rock stations. So we're moving up north, which means I'm pulling you up north a little bit too. But that's why I know I sort of went roundabout, but that's why I do it, because it's a different kind of charity. The focus is different. You're not saying, hey, we're going to get a cure.
Right.
Hey, and again, there are charities that I'm involved with that don't look for the cure either. They look to make people's lives easier, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And that's why it means something to me.
Right, and that's, it does 2 things. It makes it a little harder for us, because we are a little different, right? So we have to find the person that really understands what we do.
We have to be really clear on the mission.
And because some people, that's what they want to do, is they want to donate to someone who's trying to get the cure.
Yes.
Which is a real loaded statement.
We kind of open that with, we're not doing that, just to make it clear to people that we're really about the musician, to some extent more than the cancer.
Right.
You know, and I think, again, I think that speaks to people, and it speaks to them in different ways. So I appreciate you outlining that for me, because like, some of our job is to make sure that the mission is clear enough that people get it, but that we're adaptable enough to let people express their interest in participating in their own way. You know,
We have a lot of people that actually help us that don't know what we do. They don't really understand the gist of it until I really set them down and say, this is actually what we do. You know, because they're like, well, where does it go? How does it help cure cancer? I'm like, it doesn't. It's not what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Right. Well, I actually tend to, when I'm telling people about it, one of the things I say is not everyone is going to have a cure.
Right.
And that's sort of how I'll frame it, because we've oversimplified the big issue of cancer so much in the world, because, and I think that's why people are so narrow-minded. And narrow-minded is okay, because they still have good intention, but that's why I will lead with that. Not everyone has a cure. So this, especially in this demographic, gives those who don't, you know, oh, I'm cured to, you know, who don't have that, that gives them something else.
Wait, well, I'm going to go back to one thing that you were talking about before. The one thing that I have that's been really uplifting starting this is seeing the kindness in other people. I've seen the opposite, but I've seen a lot of kindness, whether it's musicians playing for free
Yes.
over and over again for us. Yeah, what time do I need to be there? You know, there's never, well, how much is it? You know what I mean? How much do we get paid? There's never any of that, which blows my mind, because I know how hard these guys work to survive.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's their livelihood.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm asking for a night of their livelihood, or a day, and it just blows me away. Well, it does.
And also the contributors. I mean, we were at an event the other night and thanking people for their contributions, and for one of the, we actually heard back from a few of them and said, no, thank you.
Right.
For the opportunity to contribute. And again, I really feel like people want something authentic in life in general, and this gives them something where they can actually see something measurable and tangible out of what they're doing. And it's so tough for people to do. And people don't know who to trust, what to expect nowadays. You know, there's 30 different media elements, and
you know, there's trust me, there's no CFO or founder making $3 million in this foundation, which I think is fundamentally wrong, to be honest. If you are running a foundation, it's okay to be successful and have it be big, but when you're making like $40 million, like
that's a little cuckoo.
Yeah, it's wrong. You know, I had that with I had an interview with Art from Everclear, and we talked.
That's
about
on your website.
Yeah, and we talked about it. He's just like, no, I don't do anything with charities like that, where it's really lopsided, where the staffing and the CEO is really lopsided in the funding of it. He's just like, I won't do anything with those.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And actually, as we're talking, I realized, so we have videos out, but you, and I have some that will be available on March 15th at the show, but you have put out CDs.
Yeah.
Wait, is it one, or is it?
It's one.
You're working on the
in
second,
the process
correct?
of another. What we're ultimately trying to do, if possible, and you know, circumstances may overcome events, but what we're trying to do, if possible, is come out with actually a DVD/Blu-ray type thing, because there are the performance videos, and we feel like we don't want people to lose out on those. They can get the song, you know, like a DVD CD combos aren't really that much more to produce than a straight up CD. And we figured to give people a little bit more of the story. It gives them a chance to see the interviews, which I think are very compelling.
Yes.
And maybe a little background in conversations like the ones that we were having as well, so people can get more of a sense of the foundation. So we can produce that for not a whole lot more than a standard CD. But we also don't want to. Right now, what we do when an artist has their day, their day is complete, the work goes to finish the audio production, finish the video production. When those are both done, we created a customized web page for them on our website. So if you go to cancercanrock.org, now it's my turn, and then go over to featured artists. You'll see a drop down of everybody that we've worked with so far. And each one of their pages has their name, a little story about them, a link to the interview, a link to the performance video, and a link to iTunes and Amazon, along with any other social media links that they have. So everybody's going to have that. They're going to have it forever, when they come to us. But so their song does get released. It gets released on iTunes and Amazon as an individual song.
Okay.
And those are available at any time. You can certainly promote those at the show, ask people to go to our website and such. But in terms of an actual physical CD, we just have the first 12 artists out on that right now. And
Okay.
We're looking at what to do.
I've lost count of how many were on
So
there.
did I.
You what?
So did I.
So did you, that's right.
All right.
We're gonna take one more break and we'll be right back. And we're back, and we're actually, it's nice catching up with you guys. I haven't
Likewise.
seen you in a while, so it is nice catching up. But I just wanted to, we talked about a lot of things today, but what would you like to leave us with?
I just want people to visit the site, see what we do.
CancerCanRock.org. Sorry, I didn't mean to step
That's
on your
okay.
line.
That's all right. It's a repetition.
Said in unison.
We can get it. Anyway, that's what I would really like. I mean, if people are inclined to donate, that's awesome. If people have companies that are inclined to help, even more awesome. So I would like to get that message out. But mainly I want people to know what we do. So I just want them to see, go on the site, go to our artist videos, click on any of them, literally any of them, and you'll see what we do.
And there's a vast array of music that you offer.
Yes,
You have a lot of different artists that do many different genres.
we do.
And see, at least one of them came in not really knowing what he would do with the song. Jim took a song that had been played with a pretty heavy rock beat, turned it into a spaghetti western sound, and the artist now says, I couldn't hear it any other way. So it's
great.
You never quite know. That would be as Thierry Sagna, shout out to that particular production. But it was
You gotta have fun.
yeah, and it was also a testament to the players, because the thing that astounded Thierry in that particular production was he comes in here, Jim looks over at Buddy, one of our regular session guys on guitar, and says, give me something in a spaghetti western vibe, and music gets invented on the spot.
Right.
I mean, like Jim said, you got to have those guys to really be able to pull this off. And it's great to work with.
I like what you just said, because with this serious subject, you've got to have fun.
Yeah, and more importantly, the artist has to have fun, because they come in with a lot of trepidation. They're a little nervous.
Sometimes
Yeah.
intimidated.
And intimidated because they're coming into this place sometimes, and I just have to really drive it home. No, you're going to have the best time of your life. I really do.
Yeah.
I really have to say that, because they're people sometimes show up and they're like, oh, I thought you were in the basement of your house, or
Yeah.
this,
Oh,
and there's a camera crew, and the whole thing's going on, and they're like, this is going to be hard. I mean, no.
Yeah,
it's
and
not.
the musicians as well, they can be a little intimidating because they're so good, but they are so clearly in service to the artist. And say, tell me what your song is about, and truly interested in getting that song across. That Jim's really selected here, in LA, and actually selected some of the best folks, not just in terms of ability to play, but their demeanor toward putting on that production for them, making that artist, that featured artist, the center of everybody's attention. It's pretty fun.
And that's the whole point, isn't
Right.
it?
Yes, it is. But thank you for coming down today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
this. And thank you for bringing Tommy. I know it's hard. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Well, he is a musician.
I understand.
Tom just turned down the lights.
Well, let's be fair. He's a drummer.
He is a drummer.
Okay.
I
He
wonder
is
what that
a-
rhythmic headbutting was.
And now if you
He's
see
not a
that the
lighting
lights
director.
are going up and down, it's because my cameraman and producer is playing with the lights as we speak, which I think is, hey, we're having fun,
It's a
right?
mood.
Why
It's a mood.
would it be anything else?
Yeah.
Just gotta have fun. So I want to say thank you, Rich Forsen. Thank you, Jim Ebert.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to your number 20 for you. And on, but
I'm hopefully going to be posting that one from St. John. That's my goal. My goal is to be in St. John February 1st next year.
That's a good goal.
You're gonna have to take one of those obligatory, feet with the ocean on the other side of them.
And it's all going from here.
Not a problem.
But now, remember, a year to live. He was given a year. Now we're on year 19.
Well, this we'll extend this just a little bit further. If you're sick and battling, you may love your doctor, and they may be the best person in the world. Get several opinions of what you're doing. Several.
Thank you.
Not
for
one or two, because your doctor might be like, it's this, and that may just not be right. And trust me, if your doctor works for a company that has big machine A that costs $8 million, he's going to prescribe you big machine A. So, and that may not be what you need. It took me five opinions to get to the opinion, the right decision.
Really?
And it was at Duke, and they just basically said, you don't have an expiration date on your head. We can't tell you when you're dying. That's something God does. We don't do that.
Now, did some of your doctors that you went to defer to previous work, or did you just kind of go to each of them fresh?
A little both. There was a couple doctors that would say send your film. And they'd say probably three doctors just said, yeah, get your radiation and good luck. You know what I mean? Do your chemo radiation, good luck. And then Duke basically, my ex called them like 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, and they got back to us that night, and was like, well, you've talked to great doctors in this country, but we have a different philosophy, so you should come see us.
I'm glad you did.
Me too.
I'm glad you did.
Me too.
What? So check them out, cancercanrock.org. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kate Fox.
Ocean waves spill the daylight of the sunlit rays. The moonlit night casts a shadow on the North Star light. So rock away in the hammock and let it sway. Water against the hull slaps a beat to a long lost day. Perseans rain, fire on August night, like long lost souls burning for freedom flight. In the Perseans rain, fire on August night, like long lost souls burning for freedom flight. Long ago, that I remembered in my childhood years. There's fiery nights, the third month of summer when they seem so bright. Watch over here and a glance over there. I try to catch them before they disappear. The soft, cool grass, they lay and watch the streaking light. Perseans rain, fire on August night, like long lost souls burning for freedom flight. And the Perseans rain, fire on August night, like long lost souls burning for freedom flight. watched and saw no long trail blaze. Not a vision in the black. My patience thinned and I turned my back. The light I did not see. The Perseus burned with no degree. But the shooting stars, they'll stream with wishes bound to fill my dream.